Hey, my reactor. So we at the end of the book. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank y'all for subscribing. And like I said, Monday through Thursday we'll be reading, and Fridays we'll be doing Zodiac. So this channel is Zodiac and reading. And y'all, shout out to T Styles. She's a good author, and I enjoy her books. So let's go. So this chapter's 70 through 74, and it's the end of the book. And we'll be back Monday. Farah. No, this can't be happening. When Farah got to Marky's house with Slade, she was surprised to see her sister and brother in attendance. What's going on? She alternated her eyes between Mia and Shadow. She was immediately frightened. What y'all doing here? The door closed behind them and Slade locked it. Somebody snatched audio last night, Major interjected, and your sister was with him, Marky added. What? She screamed, covering her mouth. No, this can't be happening. Where the fuck were you, Fur? Mia yelled. I called you 20 times last night. So much shit happened, and you were nowhere to be found. It wasn't until I went into your room and found your phone. She raised Knox's Blackberry in the air that I realized you left it. Seeing Knox's spiritual attempt to get her caught from the dead, Fur rushed over to Mia and snatched the phone out of her hand. The case made the phone unique, so she hoped the Baker boys didn't notice that it belonged to their brother. When she looked up at them, they appeared unwise. Why you do that shit? Mia asked. She had no idea what she just done. I'm sorry, I just can't believe somebody got Chloe. My baby sister's gone. Slade stood in the middle of the floor in a shock of his own. He couldn't imagine all the drama circling around his family at this time in his life. Maybe God was saying they had to grow up, and with two brothers missing, he heard him loud and clear. When his mother found out she was going to lose it, he was sure of it. Slade rubbed his bald head trying to think of what to tell Della. Marky, what do we know about this shit? What happened to your finger? Marky asked because of the band-aid he was wearing. What difference do it make? Bitch ass nigga, I asked you a motherfucking question. When there was a knock at the door, Slade ignored him and opened it. Willie Gregory walked inside and looked at the solemn look on the Baker boys' faces. I'm so sorry about this shit, young blood. I knew my son could be a cruddy motherfucker, but I didn't think he would stoop this low. He said as Slade closed and locked the door. You think Randy know we ran up in his house? Major asked. I mean, why else would they want my brother? Willie looked at Marky and then Slade. You sure we can speak around him? Slade looked at his cousin and said, he good. He signed. Okay, I don't know how Randy would know that shit. He rubbed his head. Half of his men couldn't wait for me to get out of jail. That's why we didn't have a problem recruiting Juice. God rest his soul. And I know everybody else involved would not have said shit. Randy just added things up and got me. The boy's smart enough to know I was coming back for what's rightfully mine. I'm not sure how he figured you fellas were involved though, but I swear on my life I'm going to get your brother back. What about my sister? Mia asked from the couch. When his eyes moved into the direction of the voice, he saw Fur sitting by her side. Wait, what she is doing here? He asked, pointing at her. I met her when she was I met her when she was no more than 13 years old. Randy was obsessed with this girl, he pointed. This is probably how he knew right here. You used to fuck with Randy? Killer asked, gripping the 45 in his waist. I knew he liked you, but I didn't think it was that deep. On cue, the rest of the Baker boys moved in like vultures, and Mia and Shadow stood on guard to protect her. I know y'all better back the fuck up away from my sister, Shadow pointed. That nigga been chasing her for years, and she didn't want nothing to do with him. Slade walked over to the altercation in motion and said, back up, fellas. When they didn't do it, he rolled. Now. They dispersed like fog, and Slade addressed Willie. I don't know about all that, but she's with me now. I don't trust her. She used to fuck with my son, and I'm trying to tell you. Maybe I should make myself clear. This is my wife, and she also the one who kept Randy busy while we ran up in the spot. She deserves a little more credit than that. Willie gave her and her siblings another look, and she wondered if Eleanor told him anything about the accident with Knox. Whatever, son. I'm not going to argue with you about what you want. It's clear your mind is made up. Just know that I'm going to be combing the city for audio. He heard Shadow grunt. I mean, both of them. He cleared his throat. And that's on my last name. I don't know where Knox is either, but I'm sure Randy had something to do with it too. Fur looked at me and Killer. Fur looked at me and Killer caught the glance. I knew the young man in short time, but he meant a lot to me. And what if we can't find a Major? I said. We'll give them the half a meal they asking for, Willie continued. When I said we would do business, I meant good business. I could tell by being around your brother that he came from a solid breed. I need that type of men on my team. And it's a shame he couldn't be my son. But I'm going to make him pay for everything if he harms one hair on their heads, blood related or not. Chapter 71, Fur. I got this for my godson. I think he's going to love it. Fur walked into the hospital to visit her friend and her new baby. She was beside herself when she heard about the horrible news. Walking into the room, holding a glass vase full of yellow roses in a bag, she set them on the table. Rhonda was laying on the bed, looking out the window. She was in a hazy world of her own. Rhonda, are you up? Fur asked so softly. She turned around to look at her. There was a blank expression on her face, and she appeared neither happy nor sad. Yeah, I'm up. I'm sorry about everything. I didn't mean to hit you. That bitch sprayed some shit in my face, and I was trying to defend myself. I hope you know I will never do anything like that on purpose. I'm sorry you went into early labor. Rhonda rolled her eyes. I didn't know about any of this until this morning. How could you? You left the baby shower, remember? The only reason I left was because I couldn't see. You saw me, Rhonda. I was fucked up, and I'm going to pay Shannon back for it, too. Technically, all this shit is her fault, she threatened. Look, I don't want to argue with my friend, and I didn't come here for all that shit. She reached in the bag and pulled out a fluffy yellow teddy bear. I got this for my godson. She smiled, waving the toy. I think he's going to love it. I brought it from Build-A-Bear. Rhonda took the stuffed animal out of her hand and held it to her chest. She squeezed it so tightly the neck bent backwards. I'm sure he will. Tears ran down her face. I'm sure I'm sure he would have loved it if he was alive. She looked back out the window at the clear blue skies. Please leave her. I'll see you later. Believe that. Chapter 72. I don't think the devil himself would want to fuck with me now, Della. Della rode sadly in a cab on her way to Marky's apartment in Platinum Loft. She was heavy with grief and hadn't felt this emotional broken since she lost her mother, the great Renita Scott. Since her children has been in the nation's capital, two of her sons were missing and nobody had answers. Growing up in the country a few years shy of the slavery days, she knew if she wanted anything done, she had better do it herself. Here's the place, the black male cab driver said, parking the car. He turned around to look at the older woman who had so many frown lines on her face that it resembled a road map. Her expression was hard, but she was heavy with love if you were on her good side. This building hasn't been up long at all. I heard the apartments inside are real nice and spacious though, he chuckled to himself. I'm more of a three hat in a cart man myself, if you know what I mean. Della kept her silence. Don't need all this fancy stuff at all, no sirree, he lied. Knowing if his coins was in order, he moved with the quickness. Thank you for the ride, she said in a heavy country accent, thicker than her son's. You have a card? I got money to spend on a driver who can be there for me whenever I need him. She handed him a $100 bill for a $45 fare. You think you can handle that? The driver greedily tucked the money in his shirt pocket and said, "Ma'am, for this kind of cash," he tapped his shirt twice. "I'll sleep on your doorstep," he joked. With a stern expression, she said, "That won't be necessary. I do have one request, though. I don't mind a little talking here and there, but when I ride, I prefer my silence. Can you work with that?" He turned around and faced the road, figuring she was referring to the way his mouth yapped nonstop all the way over from the airport. "Look, no further. I'm your man." Dollar had a feeling he wouldn't be able to help himself, but at least he was on notice, because if she snapped, he'd know why. She opened the door and eased out the back of the cab, holding nothing but a big black purse and a wooden cane. She didn't bring luggage because as long as she had a few dollars in her pocket and a beating heart, she had everything she needed. Clothes and the lights she could get once she got situated. Before pulling off, the driver leaned over to the window and said, "Be careful in there. I don't believe what I'm hearing, but if you don't believe it, why would you tell me?" she asked, interrupting him. Slightly embarrassed, he said, "I'm just giving you this so I can sleep better at night." Dallas shook her head in annoyance. In her opinion, there was nothing worse than a gossiping ass man. "I just want you to know that they saying some crazy bitch lives there who likes to drink blood and stuff. I know at least 3 people who moved out already because of that." Dallas smirked. "Sir, as angry as I am, I don't think the devil himself would want to fuck with me now, and certainly not no vampire." Chapter 73, Fur. I can't deal with her right now. I can't deal with her right now. I got to use all of my energy on Chloe. After leaving the hospital from visiting Rhonda, Fur trudged into the house with a heavy heart. Everybody she loved was turning against her, and she wondered if she really needed change. When she went into her room, Mia and Shadow were sitting on her bed in silence. The window was open, and the daylight absent of the sun lit up everything. "Why are y'all in here?" She sat next to them and kicked her shoes off one by one. Then she flung her purse to the floor. "Any news on Chloe yet?" "No, I can't believe this shit," Mia said. "Our world's coming down hard. Why is all this happening? I can't deal with this bullshit right now," Shadow yelled. "Fuck." Then he looked at Mia, and it was obvious they knew something. "We should tell her." "What's wrong?" she asked. "Stop playing games and tell me what's up, please. I don't think I could take any more bad news." "Mama's dead," Mia cried, while Fur was relieved that this was the reason for their dismay. "We went to tell her that Chloe was missing. She changed the lock so we couldn't get inside, so we called the police. I smelled something foul, but I didn't know what it was. When the police came, before they could even get to her apartment, from the outside they knew what was up. She was dead, sitting in front of her TV. Somebody slit her throat and shot her in the chest." "Wait, shot her in the chest?" She was confused. "Why? Why they do both?" They didn't know she was shot at first, but when they took her to the hospital and lifted the black gown she wore, they saw the bullet hole over her heart. Mia was breathing so heavy she had to fan herself to prevent from passing out. Shadow popped up and marched towards the window. He leaned up against the wall and looked out through the pane to prevent from crying. You should have seen her face for her. Oh my God, she didn't look anything like herself. The disease ate her up terribly. Our beautiful mother is gone." Fur didn't feel the same as her siblings about the loss, and it was evident by her expression. In her opinion, Bronny got everything she deserved, but she didn't understand who shot her and attempt to hide it. "I can't deal with this right now," Fur said. "I got to use all my energy on Chloe." Mia wiped her face and touched Fur's knee. "I understand you don't feel the same as we do." She looked at Shadow and back at her. "After everything she put you through, it's wrong for us to expect you to." She gave her a hug and Fur gladly accepted. She loved her family, Usher included, but Brownie she couldn't stand kid. But Brownie she could care less about. Grandma said she's coming over here in about an hour. You know she's coming. You know she never comes out, but she wants to be there for us. That's all she needed was to see Ely's face right now. She was growing increasingly uncomfortable. I almost forgot. Slade and them were over here earlier. They wanted to talk here instead of Marky's. They say they can't be sure if they can trust him yet. I never liked dude, Shadow said, looking at them. He got a lot of shit with him, you ask me. He looked back out the window. Then he looked out the window. Something happened while they were here, though. I gave Slade my keys to get back in because we was going to the morgue to identify Mom's body. As Fur replayed the tapes of what Mia just said in her mind, a frightful expression covered her face. Immediately, she hopped off the bed and dropped to her knees. Shadow stood up straight and looked at his frantic sister in motion. Removing the box from under the bed with her stories, she was desperately seeking two things, her journal for the month and Knox's phone. When Mia saw her fling the books out the box, she finally understood her horror. Please tell me you didn't. Tell me you didn't write about what you did in Knox in your book. Fur looked at her out response, and Mia had her answer. How could you be so fucking stupid? I've been writing these books all my life. What am I supposed to do? Just stop. Shadow walked over to them. Fur, after all these fucking years, what the fuck is in them books anyway? She held her head down. Everything. He leaned in. Everything, including the stuff we did that you knew about? Yes. He put his hands over his face and paced in place. Get the fuck out of here. Who does that kind of shit anyway? Just call the police and make a fucking recording. The moment he said that, the front door slammed. Fur hopped off the floor and they walked inside. Fur hopped off the floor and they all walked into the living room to see who was there. Standing side by side in the middle of the living room was Slade, Killer, and Major. Della Baker was sitting on a recliner. When Fur walked out, she said, so, this is Fur Cotton, the girl who stole my son's heart. She looked at her oldest son and using her cane, she pulled herself up. Yeah, that's her. It was obvious that he was avoiding eye contact with his lover. She tried to search his eyes to see how he felt about her, but at the moment they were empty. Mia and Shadow stood next to Fur as they waited for what would happen next. Earlier today, Fur, my son found something on the way to the bathroom in your house. Mia looked at Killer and rolled her eyes. When she was home earlier, he kept asking. Mia looked at Killer and rolled her eyes. When she was home earlier, he kept saying how he had to go to the bathroom. Now it all made sense. He made no fewer than 10 trips within an hour, but she didn't think anything of it because her sister was missing. So you were snooping around, she asked him, in my house? Killer remained silent. I think we're asking the wrong question, young lady, Della said. How about we start by telling me how you got this? She raised Knox's phone in the air. Let's start there. Chapter 74, and it's the last few pages. Present day, Mooney's house. Mooney sat in her brown recliner and looked at Cutie Tootie, whose mouth hung open. She knew the story would intrude her, so she was certainly amused. Close your mouth before something fly in it, child. Tootie slammed her jaws shut and said, well, what else happened? She chewed the last of her cheese. She chewed the last of the cheese part of the pizza in her hand. This was the most interesting shit she heard in her entire life. You can't end it like this. That's all I'm telling you for now, she rubbed her left elbow. I'll tell you the rest when I see you later. Well, it don't make no sense, she said, charged with her usual attitude. The least you could do is tell me what happened when Della got there. Dang, that's why I hate you sometimes. Always playing with people's heads and shit. She pouted, slinging the pizza crust to her white plate. Mooney laughed until she said, you probably lying about the whole thing anyway. Aggravation took over, and for a moment she lost her cool. Mooney leaped up faster than Tootie knew she could move and hung over the child like a lioness. I don't lie, child, and if I was going to start the day, she pointed her right finger in her face, it damn sure wouldn't be about this. Okay, I'm sorry. She trembled so hard, the crust on the plate was vibrating. Mooney backpedaled towards her chair and sat down without looking. That story is all true. And if you don't even know the rest, before you start judging people, know what the fuck you talking about first. She turned to her left and rustled through a few newspapers on the nightstand. When she found the one she wanted, she said, "So I take it you can read, right?" Ugh. Fighting with your foster sister ain't the only thing you know how to do, is it? "No, I can read," she said, still shocked at Mooney's reaction. "Good, take a look at this newspaper." Tootie stood up and toddled in her directions. When she didn't take the paper, Mooney said, "It's too late to be scared of me now. If I wanted you dead, you would have been gone already." Tootie didn't feel any more comfortable, but she did as she was told. "Look at the headline." Tootie eyed the bold black print and her jaws dropped again. "You better get that thing fixed before somebody puts something in it." Tootie giggled and Moody was grateful they were able to move past the bad moment. Teenagers could be a little disrespectful at times, so she never had a problem putting them in their place. Read what it said out loud. "Fur cotton, women or vampire." Up until now, that moment she thought the crazy one was pulling her legs. But now it was revealed that she was telling the truth. Still stunned, she handed the paper back. "Hold up, you're not for cotton, are you?" "Not at all." "Well, who are you then?" "In the beginning, I told you about the screaming girl who came to the door when Fur was borrowing sugar." She nodded quickly. Her boyfriend's name was Kurt, the one who died. "Exactly," she nodded. "I see you were paying attention." "Well, that girl was me," she grinned. "Back then, I didn't have a lot of worries." For a second, she took a trip to the good old days. Coming back to reality, she said, "That was then, but this is now." "But how did you know all these things? Were you friends?" Mooney removed her robe and showed Tootie her amputated left arm. The child never knew she was armless because she never really looked at her baggy left sleeves, which was always tucked in a robe pocket. "No, but I did run into her again, and when I did, she gave me this to show for it." All right, y'all, that's it for Redbone, but I'm going to tell y'all, it's two more books out after this. I've read the second one, but I got it on audio. So it's Redbone Part 2, Redbone Part 3. Yeah, I'm going to read Redbone Part 3 when I order it. But if y'all want to get it on Amazon.com, I thought I had all three of the books, but, when I was going through my books, I was throwing stuff away. I wish I would have kept it. It's good to keep books, y'all. So if y'all want to get the other parts of this Redbone, y'all go visit Amazon.com or Kindle. I will see y'all Monday with another great read. I don't know what book yet, but I'm going to pick up something.